Throughout the year, we honor the rich diversity of Southern California. Our celebrations of the heritage of the people who make up our shared SoCal family enrich our collective perspective. That's why each April, I feel such special pride sharing stories of the history and the traditions that I grew up with. Over the next half hour, we'll look at a 4,000-year-old Armenian culture, and I'll introduce you to some incredible individuals who are making a difference in our community at large. I hope you'll come along as we celebrate the Armenian spirit together. Hello and welcome to this special episode of Fox 11 News in Depth, celebrating the Armenian spirit. I'm Araksya Karapetyan, in for Hal Eisner, who has graciously let us take over this Sunday to bring you some wonderful stories our team has put together to share with all of you as we celebrate Armenian Heritage Month. So let's begin with this iconic donut in Inglewood. Randy's opened back in 1952, and since taking over, its new owner has managed to expand the brand globally. Let's take a look at how he's doing it.
The restaurant business is tough. It is a tough business, but if you do it right and you stay true to who you are and what the brand is, you will always succeed.
Since he took over this iconic donut brand, Mark Legion's goal was to expand.
We've got 17 company stores and another 18 franchise stores. We're all around the world, and we're doing a lot of deals outside the U.S.
They're on a roll. South Korea, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, and they're about to sign a big deal with Japan and Canada.
There's a sweet tooth, especially in the Asian markets. Our franchisee opened up 12 stores in the Philippines in the last 12 months. It just keeps growing.
Mark's background is law and entrepreneurship. This donut thing just sort of happened. In 2015, he was looking for something to invest in for his daughters when this opportunity popped up.
There's this website called Biz Buy Sell, and there was this little line that said, well-known 50-year-old restaurant for sale. I thought, okay, maybe it's one of those delis in LA. You know, my kids would be good with that. And I called up, and it was Randy's Donuts, and as soon as I heard, made the deal.
As an LA native, Mark recognizes the power of this donut since its establishment in 1952. The history of Randy's goes back to a guy named Robert Wendell in the late 40s, early 50s.
He ended up selling the store to an individual whose son was named Randy. So he bought it, changed the name to Randy's, and 3-4 years later, he sold it to two brothers, Larry and Ron Weintraub, that operated it all the way until 2015.
Since taking over, Mark has changed some things, like the setup, how they operate, little tweaks here and there to make things more efficient.
When we started, it was the one store, and they were doing about $1.5 million a year in business. We are over $5 million a year out of this store alone. We're about $40 million throughout all of our locations.
But he wasn't quick to touch what's been working for years.
We are a donut shop. We never go away from what got us here. When I came in, I avoided the pitfalls that a lot of new owners do. Didn't touch a thing. Resisting that temptation to make a few more dollars was important.
Mark says he hopes his story inspires people to just take chances.
What I'm trying to do, and I hope it does, is set an example. An opportunity is perhaps not what you think it is, but you just have to keep your eyes open and work hard. And I think we have that in our culture. Hard work and a little bit of luck blended in there, and you can really make a success out of yourself. I just feel fortunate to be part of such an iconic brand. That donut attracts people from all over the world. So I consider myself a steward of the brand and of that iconic symbol.
And we sure love our Randys around here. All right, she's on a mission to bring a smile, evoke happy memories with each stroke of her paintbrush. Her passion for art carries a much deeper meaning, though, than just beautiful images. She's on a mission to introduce Armenian culture and spread joy while doing so.
It's a work in progress, and it is a recreation of Norman Rockwell's Thanksgiving dinner, but Armenian style. So there's gonna be kebab being served, even though there's turkey, so it's the Armenian-American experience.
Yeah. This painting beautifully illustrates the immigrant experience. But these images right here, these are the images ARPI Krikorian is known for. Her modern illustrations of Armenian-inspired characters.
I wanted to decorate my daughter Sevan's room, and there was no happy Armenian art when my girls were growing up.
So she decided to draw one herself. This was her first character, named ARPI.
I was like, literally, should I post it? Should I post it? And the whole family's like, press enter already. All of a sudden, people were saying, where'd you get that from? I want one.
Now ARPI has taken it upon herself to spread happy Armenian art and to celebrate the culture through her vibrant, colorful, joyful images.
I'm very in love with color. That makes me happy.
ARPI's journey in discovering her talent is a reminder that life is filled with twists and turns.
I actually was not one of those people that were born with a pencil in their hand. Like you hear that a lot with artists. I was a gymnast.
But at 12, an injury put an end to her gymnastics. Not long after, an art teacher in school noticed ARPI's talent and encouraged her to pursue it.
She encouraged me to go to Art Center's high school program. My dad was very upset that I wanted to be an artist. He said, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer. And I'm like,
of course.
I said, well, I got into the best art school in the country, so.
Her father wanted his children to progress in America and to make the community proud.
His main thing was you have to be a service to your community. He thought being an artist was not doing that.
Years later, ARPI was a runner-up for an international art contest, and she was getting lots of attention.
So everybody was calling my parents. Oh, we're so proud, we saw ARPI. So my dad, I went to visit, and I said, do you think I'm being a service to my community now? He said, how am I gonna know? You're gonna draw Armenian things, put them on pillows, people are gonna put them in their house, and then that's gonna make them feel Armenian.
Literature, music, food, art. These are the things that bring people together.
I feel like I am doing a service to my community when I'm giving them visuals to touch base with our culture, with our heritage, and to feel a sense of belonging to a community. It's what makes my cheeks go red. My cheeks get red. They get really hot. And my husband will say, oh, you're almost done. That's what lights my soul on fire.
Coming up, what Disney is doing to make the younger Armenian American generation feel heard and seen. And let's make CHAPAMA. We'll show you how to make a delicious and easy Armenian dish at home. This festive dish is delicious, colorful, and has an artistic flair. An Armenian folk song has even been written about the very dish. Chef ZADA shows us how to make Hey Can CHAPAMA.
CHAPAMA dates back to very far back in Armenia. It's not something you eat every single day, but an event for Christmas, New Year, holiday season. I do with sugar pumpkins.
This is a sugar pumpkin?
This is a sugar pumpkin. They're smaller, they're slightly sweeter.
So let's make CHAPAMA.
Let's make CHAPAMA. The steps are essentially, we have 1 onion, we have about 1.5 cups of rice, you got a 1/3 cup of slivered almonds or sliced almonds, a 1/3 cup of walnuts, you got about a 1/2 cup of dried apricot, 5 or so quartered prunes, and then these are sour cherries, or in Armenia they use hon, about a tablespoon of honey, and then we will we'll stir this up right here. So we mix this all up together, okay? And there's one more thing we need. We need apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
So a touch of apple cider vinegar. So this adds a slight tartness to it. We're gonna mix this all up. Now, I made a lot for this little pumpkin.
Yes.
We're gonna go in with a little bit of honey. So in, as I spin this around, a little bit of olive oil or neutral oil, right? Inside, avocado oil works really well. So we'll spoon this in. So we got our CHAPAMA.
Yeah.
Give it a little pat. Pop that in. We pop this lid on, onto a sheet tray, into an oven, and then out comes Hey Can CHAPAMA.
That's right.
350 degrees, about an hour. What you're looking for is a toothpick to kind of just pop in and out easily. Now you know your pumpkin is done. One that way, one this way.
That's not hot. CHAPAMA.
really good.
So recently, Mickey, Minnie, and the whole gang embarked on an adventure to experience a fun Armenian water festival on an episode of Mickey Mouse Funhouse. The episode features Astrik, the goddess of water, love, and beauty. This is one of the first media representations of Armenian culture at Disney.
I'm so happy you're here to enjoy Vartavar, to celebrate me. Are you ready to get splashed?
Meet Liana Badawi, the voice behind the goddess Astrik.
Minnie, if you can please move to the side, I don't want to get you wet.
And meet Kathleen Sarnelli Kapukchian, the woman who brought Astrik to life. These two women have never met before, but they just made some history together. This is one of the first media representations of Armenian culture at Disney.
I learned about Vartavar in Glendale. One day we were at like Verdugo Park and I saw like these, topics and little kids like just spraying each other with like water. I'm like, Monvel, my husband. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, that's Vartavar. It's like a water holiday. And I was like, that's really cool and that's really interesting.
Kathleen says her inspiration for this episode was her 20-month-old son, Joseph.
He loves Mickey Mouse Funhouse, but I don't think he totally grasped that Mom wrote the episode. It's just mostly like, Mom, shh, I'm watching TV. And I was like, but I wrote that.
Kathleen's connection to Armenia is through her husband, Monvel.
We've been together since we were like 17 years old. In 2018, when my husband proposed to me, he proposed to me under the Temple of Garni. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so inspired by the people, the architecture, the food. Everyone was just like so welcoming and kind. I told my husband, one day I'm gonna write an Armenian episode. And he's like, okay.
And she did, from beginning to end.
I did have help from Monvel's Tathic with the language part. I was like, am I saying this right, Tathic? Like, am I saying this right, Monvel?
Kathleen says it's important for kids to feel like they're seen, that people feel like they're being represented, and that different cultures are showcased in media.
I'm a mixed Latina girl. My mom's from Guadalajara, Jalisco. My dad's from Napoli. There's already a huge mix with me, and now my son's mixed too, and he's gonna experience all these cultures. I think we're a lot more similar than we're different.
Liana's connection to Armenia comes from her mother's side.
I was part of AGBU when I was in Montreal, and we did a voluntary trip to Armenia. We went to Banazor, and we helped build the foundation of a community center there.
Though her background is theater, she says she got into this voiceover work by accident.
I grew up speaking English, French, Armenian, and a bit of Arabic. I had a teacher who was like, hey, you speak multiple languages, so why not look into voiceover? And so I said, okay.
Now she's made it her full-time job.
I built this booth with my dad in 2018, and it's been amazing. For Disney, I went into a studio, but I do the bulk of my work from in here, and it's pretty great.
Liana remembers the disbelief and excitement she felt when this opportunity was presented to her.
I am the goddess of water.
I was like, there's no way this is real. Like, what am I reading? I was like, I'm going to get this role. I'm going to put everything into it. I'm going to make her so fun and cute and inviting.
The response from the audience has been huge.
To see how it's affected so many people in such a positive way is so overwhelmingly beautiful to see.
Let's clean this beautiful dress and let's have fun on this holiday.
For both women, this moment marks a milestone in their professional and personal lives.
Doing a Disney job was definitely on the bucket list.
Monvel's Tathic, she was there for me when I had my son. She was like helping me, but she didn't speak a lick of English. I had to catch on really fast. I imagine her as like a little girl, like having that representation.
It's a traditional Armenian daras. Nice outfit, Minnie.
How cute is that, right? All right, coming up, movies expose us to unique stories, and it is through those stories we're able to learn about different cultures and people, why you should go see the film AMERIKATSI, and hear the haunting, soulful sound of this ancient Armenian musical instrument. The film AMERIKATSI created a lot of buzz. It's about a topic many don't know much about. A man who repatriates back to Armenia in 1948 to find himself unjustly imprisoned in Soviet Armenia.
My wife passed away a few years ago. God rest her soul.
Camera,
AMERIKATSI in English translates to The American. It's written, directed, and stars Michael Gorgon as the main character, Charlie.
Charlie's story is really about someone longing for their homeland, someone who wants to connect with their roots.
I find you good home.
Is this about the housing situation? Fellas, there's been a mistake.
The entire film was shot in Armenia in 2020. It was a challenging time, to say the least. Just as they started filming, the pandemic hit. Michael spent 7 months living, researching, and working there.
I was working hard to learn Armenian, and a friend said, hey, listen, you're directing a film in a foreign country that's in 3 languages during a pandemic. Maybe don't worry about learning the language as well. You've got enough on your plate.
His goal was to tell a story about a topic that hasn't gotten much attention on the silver screen through a character many would find relatable and to entice a broad audience.
I really wanted to add dimensions to what people think of when they think of Armenians. You're watching with Charlie, who's in a prison cell. You're spying on somebody in an apartment building across the way and getting glimpses of like food they're eating and music they're playing. This was an attempt to entice people into wanting to know more about what Armenians are like, who they are.
For Michael, it's also personal. His grandfather was not a repatriate, but he was a genocide survivor, and he dedicates this movie in his memory.
At the beginning of the film, there's a scene with a boy in a box escaping the genocide. That's my grandfather. Growing up, he taught me to smile, to embrace what's good, to be hopeful. And so in a way, Charlie's character is really an ode to who my grandfather was.
What was his name?
Manug.
Despite the seriousness, heaviness, and absurdity of the plot, there are many moments filled with humor and lightheartedness.
I like making films that inspire people and give them hope. That's, I would say, the heart of what AMERIKATSI is.
The duduk is an ancient Armenian double-reed woodwind instrument made out of apricot wood. Now, you may not know much about the instrument itself, but if you listen closely, it is a sound you will likely recognize. The sound of the duduk has been featured in a number of movies and television soundtracks. So I want to introduce you to a young man right now who grew up here in La Cañada, who recently played at Carnegie Hall. At a time where not many young people gravitate toward these traditional musical instruments, Greg Panosian is keeping the duduk alive through a new generation of musicians. Greg, welcome.
Thank you, Araksya.
So happy to have you here. How long have you been playing the duduk?
I've been playing the duduk since I was 11 years old.
You're 16 now?
16, yeah.
So what made you decide, I want to learn how to play the duduk?
Well, I had first heard the sound when I was 11 years old, and I had never heard anything like it, and that was really interesting to me. And over time, I slowly began to learn more and more songs and hear the music of the duduk more often. And not only would I learn how to play the songs, but my teacher would always emphasize knowing the meaning of the songs. And I realized recently that the Armenian duduk is so indicative of the Armenian experience and has been a tool that has been used to convey Armenian history and pass Armenian history for generations.
It's interesting you say that, because when I hear the sound of the duduk, no matter where I am, I pick up on the sound. It also touches my soul, and I think that's something you can understand and relate to. It goes deep within me, and it's a beautiful sound. At times melancholy, though.
Definitely, yes. I didn't know how to characterize the duduk and call it soulful when I was 11 years old, but I would definitely agree with you that.
How difficult is it to play the duduk? Because it requires a lot of breath. It's not necessarily a beginner's instrument. It takes years to master.
It does, yes. Over time, it becomes easier to play, but I remember in the beginning, a lot of it had to do with my lung capacity, a lot of the difficulty that I was experiencing. That's really the main obstacle when it comes to playing the duduk.
And you're involved in a charity, right? And the goal is to keep this music and this instrument alive.
Yes. My instructor, he began the Duduk Man charity, which is a charity that is dedicated towards educating the future Armenian generations and those who are interested in Armenian culture and want to learn how to play the duduk.
And what are you going to play for us right now?
I will be playing Dile Yaman, which is a Armenian traditional folk song that is played in commemoration of the Armenian genocide.
All right, let's welcome your instructor. You've been playing together for 2 years, Emmanuel Hovhannisyan. Very happy to have you here. Gentlemen, take it away. Thank you for joining us today. Hal will be back next Sunday. Be sure to keep watching Good Day LA for the remainder of the month so you don't miss moments like this.